Hi, my name is Christina Adams, and this is the place where we talk about God, Christianity, and life. Right now, I would like to discuss the word worldview and what it means. I really enjoy words. I enjoy definitions, and I enjoy it when we all know what we're talking about. So, for the sake of this particular purpose, this video, I am going to define worldview as a sort of my own definition. It's not an official definition, but it's sort of the general idea that I've gotten from various different people that I've read on worldviews, and just the general idea of what a worldview actually is and what it does practically. So, a worldview practically is the way that a person sees reality and explains reality. So if a person if a person believes in luck and they find a penny on the ground, they would then believe that they are having a lucky day. And that idea of luck might then influence them on other things that they do. Well, they might think, well, if I'm lucky today, maybe I should buy a lottery ticket. And then if they won the lottery ticket, small amount, big amount, doesn't really matter. That would just then reinforce their view that they are lucky, especially that day, and that luck is a determining factor in how things play out in real life. Now, if a person is unlucky, or they consider themselves to be unlucky, they still believe in luck. They just believe that they don't have any of it. And so if they step in a pothole, they would then associate that with their being unlucky. And that then might make them believe that they are having an unlucky day, which would then make them decide not to buy a lottery ticket. And so then they would not win, which would also feel unlucky, perhaps. And they would just be stuck in that kind of mentality, not being able to do things because they're afraid to try something, knowing that luck is against them. But that is, of course, assuming that that person believes that luck exists. Now, there are many different kinds of worldviews, and most people, they don't even know what kind of worldview they have. Worldviews are very much something that we catch from the people around us, from our parents, from just the different things that things people laugh at, the things people praise, and it's really not directly expressed very often. The things people applaud, the things that people condemn or mock. Like everyone learns, oh, well, I don't want to be mocked in that way, so I won't do that. And that's how we kind of learn what a worldview is. And we take our worldview, though, from a bunch of different things. So we could actually have conflicting ideas about the world. And, like a person could believe that they are lucky, but then they could also believe, and here I've walked myself right into a little bit of a trap because I'm not really sure where I was going with that illustration. But the idea behind it is that if someone thinks that they're lucky, and then they also think that, like, for instance, this is a good example, perhaps. They believe in luck, but then they also believe that God exists. But God and luck are two different worldviews. The worldview that includes luck does not actually include God, because luck is a form of chance, and God is not a form of chance, or the idea of God, especially a Judeo-Christian God, it is not included in chance. Where the Christian God is concerned, the Christian Judeo God is concerned, that is a being that is very purposeful, very orderly, logical, and he acts with intention, and he cares about things. He is personal. He is involved in what's going on. And so if a person believes in God and they also believe in luck, that is an example of them having they're having two different kinds of worldviews, and both of those worldviews being competing. So they might actually think that they're lucky, and then also that God is punishing them. Or they might have the opposite, where they think they just attribute the good things that happen in their life to luck rather than to God. I'm not entirely sure if that's making sense, but I hope it is. And I wanted to take that, though, one step further a little bit and talk about how when we have a worldview, especially for us as Christians, and we mix our worldview with others, it's so much harder to hold on to one of them. And what often happens is that then we become frustrated. We don't understand why God's not acting in a certain way. And we don't realize that a lot of times it's because of the things that we believe or the things that we think, or that we're not actually believing in God the way that God has been expressed or the way that God is understood to be in Scripture. A great example of this is not knowing what God's character is, and thinking that God is one way or another, or imagining God like Santa Claus, or that he is always wrathful, or he is an extremely loving person. If those are the only things that you think about God or know about God, then God is much bigger and much broader and much wider and much deeper than all of those things. And if a informed understanding of who God is then allows us to have a better understanding of the world, because we would believe that God created the world. And when God creates the world, what's actually happening is that God created all things that are real. He created all things that are real. He created all things that are true. And whenever we try to live outside of God's reality and God's truth, I don't really like that phrase personally. I'm just an aside right there, because I think it has some historical, perhaps in the way it's been used in the past, is not the best. But it is also an actual thing. There is truth. Truth belongs to God, and God has expressed truth, and He has created this world that we live in. And when we try to live in a way that is contrary to how God designed things to be, we run into basically reality. This can be in a whole bunch of different ways, and we see it all the time. The way the world is set up physically, we can't just change the way the world works. We can't, get rid of atoms. We can't change gravity. We can't change the form that we have and turn it into a completely different form. We can change our form a little bit, but in general we always say the same. Like, we can't turn into circles, we can't turn into squares, we can't turn into trees. And if people try, that would probably be really painful and really sad. So that's what God created. He created reality, and when we try to do things that are against that, that's when we discover that what we're trying doesn't work. Now, the problem is that in our current culture, we have a lot of people who are trying to do things that are contrary to reality, and they are hurt by it because they're trying to do things that they're not designed to do. And that is something that we as Christians, we need to know what are things that we are designed to do and what are things that we are not designed to do, so that we can help others, especially those that are hurting, to understand what it is that actually hurt them. Like a child who falls downstairs and cries, he might wish that those stairs weren't there. He might wish that gravity doesn't exist. But if we try to get rid of the stairs or try to get rid of gravity, that's actually not going to help the child, because the child needs to understand what gravity actually is, and that there are ways that you can work with gravity that won't lead to a painful fall. At least not until you're older. So that's just a really brief discussion on worldview, and I would love to hear your thoughts on how you have interacted with worldview, what things that you have thought about, where like what a worldview is or how it has influenced your life. And I will enjoy hopefully talking to you later. God bless.